You know when you hear, like, magician to the stars, you picture, like, Vegas. Right.
Right.
Not Dan Chan.
No.
This guy's playing for Silicon Valley CEOs, tech moguls, the whole, like, elite crowd.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to find out how he pulled it off, because you've got articles, testimonials, even some stuff from his website.
Yeah.
Like a real treasure trove of information on this guy.
It's pretty remarkable what he's been able to accomplish and how he's really branded himself.
Yeah.
You know what's fascinating about Dan Chan is that he's almost like a case study in personal branding.
Right.
He understood really early on that just being a great magician wasn't enough,
Right.
especially in a place like Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
He was building a business.
Yeah.
And he approached it with that same kind of strategic thinking
Yeah.
as like any tech startup would.
And speaking of his background, I mean, it's kind of surprising some of the stuff that I read.
Yeah.
You know, it said that he was bullied growing up
Yeah.
in San Francisco and he turned to magic. Okay, sure. But then also got really into weightlifting, which I don't know.
Yeah, it's not the typical magician origin story you think of.
No, it kind of speaks to a certain resilience, I think, that probably served him pretty well later on.
Yeah.
When you think about it, that kind of odd mix of interest and, you know, muscle and magic.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was already blending this idea of showmanship with a more strategic, even analytical way of thinking.
Right. And then on top of that, he was a business admin major.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me.
it's like, was he like taking notes on David Copperfield between his accounting classes or something? Right? I mean, it seems like such a weird pairing.
Yeah.
But those business classes weren't just for show.
Okay.
He actually credits them with giving him the tools that he needed to analyze the magic market and figure out his niche.
Okay.
And he even used a SWOT analysis.
Oh, wow.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, to kind of understand his position as he was starting out.
So he's not just pulling rabbits out of hats. He's pulling out business school frameworks, too.
Exactly.
He's like analyzes career. That's wild.
Yeah.
So tell me, how does that work? How do you apply a SWOT analysis to being a magician?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
He identified his strengths, right?
Okay.
Technical skills, stage presence.
Okay.
He acknowledged his weaknesses.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a limited network when he's starting out.
Right.
But then he looked for opportunities.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He saw all these other magicians. They were all laser focused on kids' parties,
Yeah.
all competing for the same gigs.
Right. So he had to find his own lane.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where I think Porter's 5 forces comes in.
Porter's 5 forces, that even sounds intense for the magic world.
I know. But it's all about analyzing the competitive landscape of an industry, right?
Right.
And by applying that framework, he realized there was this untapped market,
Okay.
the wealthy parents at these high-end parties.
Oh,
He understood that if he could impress them, the bookings would follow.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
He wasn't just performing magic tricks. He was targeting a demographic
Exactly.
with a very specific need.
100%.
High-end entertainment that was going to wow their friends and their colleagues.
He understood that to stand out,
Mm-hmm.
he needed to offer something unique,
Yeah.
something like really tailored to the specific tastes and expectations of his target audience.
Right.
And he used those business tools to figure out exactly what that something was.
Wow. Okay, so he's got his strategy. He knows who he wants to reach. What were like his first steps? Did he just like show up at a venture capitalist's barbecue with a deck of cards and be like, hey, check this out?
Not quite. He started a little more conventionally, you know, building his reputation through school shows, library gigs, that kind of thing.
You gotta start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
Even in the tech world, word of mouth is really important.
Right.
He needed to hone his skills, build a portfolio.
Okay, but those high-end parties, they were definitely in his sights, right?
Absolutely.
And these weren't your average, like, balloon animals and sheet cake kind of parties. I mean, we're talking extravagant, over-the-top events.
We are talking seriously next level parties.
Yeah.
One article mentioned a $250,000 Harry Potter themed party.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of galleons. But beyond the extravagance, these events represented a crucial stepping stone for Dan.
I bet, because he wasn't just there to entertain kids, right?
Exactly.
He was rubbing shoulders with, like, the who's who of Silicon Valley.
Precisely. He understood that networking was key,
Yeah.
but he did it his way.
Oh,
Instead of
good.
like awkwardly handing out business cards,
Right.
he charmed his way into conversations. He would often linger after his performance was over, you know, to chat with the adults,
I read about that he like spent an hour talking about caviar with a bunch of CEOs after he wowed their kids with a disappearing act.
That's amazing.
He knows how to work a room, even if it's full of like tech billionaire.
Oh, he understood
Yeah.
the assignment.
Hmm.
These weren't just parties.
Right.
They were opportunities to build relationships and really showcase his talent to a very influential audience.
And it paid off because he ended up landing gigs with Google. Apple even performed at that super exclusive Sun Valley conference, but he didn't just show up with the same old tricks, did he?
No, he did not.
He knew he had to step it up.
He adapted to this tech-savvy crowd.
Okay.
And that's another example of his business acumen. I mean,
Yeah.
he recognized that to truly resonate with this audience, he needed to speak their language.
Okay.
So he started incorporating iPhones, iPads, even elements of coding into his illusions.
It's like he gamified magic or something.
Right.
That's so cool. Was there like a particular tech-infused trick that really made a splash?
I think the one that really stands out is his city guessing trick.
Okay.
He would use someone's phone, seemingly at random, and then reveal he knew exactly what city they were thinking of.
Wow.
Pure magic to everyone else.
Right.
But to a room full of software engineers, it was like he had cracked their code.
That's amazing. Okay, so he's wowing Silicon Valley's elite with like tech-infused magic. It's a brilliant niche. But I gotta ask, what does that kind of high-end performance actually cost? Are we talking like pulling stacks of $100 bills out of thin air for these events?
Well, you might be surprised. One article mentioned that he earned $160,000 in a single year.
Wow.
Clearly, that billionaire's magician moniker wasn't just for show.
Okay, that's a lot of disappearing coins, though. I imagine those illusions don't come cheap. The articles mention that he's invested a small fortune in his act.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking books, props. He even had like a self-playing piano. Did you read about that?
Yeah, he's got a lot of really high-end equipment, and I
Uh-huh.
think that just highlights the fact that this is a business,
Right,
and it's a demanding one.
right.
It's at over $100,000 in the equipment and materials alone.
Yeah.
And he's got a whole team that he works with, assistant designers, all to create that seamless high-end experience.
So behind the magic, there's a lot of hard work, creativity, and financial investment. It's not all just like smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. It's a real business with real costs.
And it's interesting, that entrepreneurial spirit seems like it might be hereditary.
Oh, how?
Well, one of the sources mentioned that his son James is also a magician.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's already charging for shows and, learning the tricks of the trade.
That's amazing.
Literally. Yeah. But then, COVID hit, as it did with so many professions and, kind of threw a wrench into things. Did the pandemic make the billionaire's magician disappear?
It definitely presented a challenge,
Mhm.
for sure. Live events vanished overnight, and Dan wasn't immune to that.
Right.
One article mentioned that he lost $8,000 in bookings almost instantly
Oh, wow.
when everything shut down.
That's rough. Yeah, it sounds like he wasn't ready to pack up his disappearing cabinet just yet, though.
Oh, not at all. He embraced the world of virtual magic.
Really?
Yeah, he really did. And, with his kind of characteristic adaptability,
Yeah.
he even called Zoom the most scalable thing ever
Wow.
because he recognized that potential to reach this, global audience right from his living room.
That's a really interesting perspective. Was there any, pushback from the magic community about this whole taking illusions online?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There were definitely some magicians who felt like doing virtual shows cheapened the art form.
Okay.
That it couldn't replicate the intimacy of a live performance.
Right.
Some magicians like Joshua Seth even retired rather than adapt to this new world.
Wow.
But Dan really saw it as an opportunity. It was like a new stage, but with its own unique challenges and possibilities.
And he found a way to make it work. I read about that email illusion he did.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
He sent a journalist a picture of Houdini, right?
Okay.
Asked them to name any card, and boom, their card was hidden in Houdini's eyes.
That's incredible.
It's like how...
How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's a great example of how he took his craft and adapted it for this virtual audience.
I mean, it's brilliant. It speaks to his creativity and his ability to really think outside the box.
So from bullied kid to the billionaire's magician, Dan Chan's journey is like a masterclass in resilience, strategic thinking, and just the power of constantly adapting to a changing world.
He really is an inspiration.
He found his niche, built his brand, and when the ground shifted beneath his feet, he found a new way to make magic happen. It's pretty impressive.
He didn't just disappear. He reinvented himself.
It really leaves us with a lot to think about, what other kind of unexpected turns might the future hold for the entertainment industry, and how can we all learn from Dan's ability to like transform challenges into opportunities? That's something to ponder as we navigate our own paths to success, whatever they may be.